So today we're going to go back into the Old Testament a little bit. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen Joseph, King of Dreams. It's an amazing movie and an even better biblical story. So I'm going to give you kind of a little snapshot of it, and then we will move into our activity that kind of will play off of this Bible story. So now this is in the book of Genesis, and what it talks about is redemption and forgiveness. So Joseph is the youngest son of about 12 brothers. He has quite a few. Now, he is the son of a second marriage, so he's only half brothers with his other brothers. And because of that, there is a little bit of jealousy there. And the jealousy really comes from the fact that Joseph interprets dreams. And to start that interpreting of dreams, his parents gave him a beautiful coat full of multiple colors. I mean, fuchsias, pinks, reds, blues, anything you can think of, and it was adorned with gold edging, so it was beautiful. And all of his brothers were like, well, what about us? You know, we have very generic and basic shawls, and yet he gets this beautiful coat. Well, it's because he was special and unique and gifted, because he could interpret dreams. And Joseph had a dream about all of his brothers coming to him, and even his father begging him for help. And he told this to his brothers, and as you can imagine, they were not exactly happy about that. So they went out and actually sold Joseph into slavery. And they sold him to Egyptians, who brought him to Egypt, where he was at a slave market. So basically, if you think about going to an auction or something, auctioning off Joseph, and Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guards, actually bought Joseph. And in this time, it was about maybe a couple of year period, Joseph really grew fond of Potiphar and vice versa. They really grew to like each other and to respect each other. And then an incident occurred with Potiphar's wife. And she claimed that Joseph had taken something from her, and he did not, clearly. But with that being said, that accusation, he was put in jail. And so Potiphar was, captain of the guards, of Pharaoh's guards, so he had some influence over how Joseph was treated in the jail. Now, Joseph was in prison with two other prisoners. Now, the first prisoner had a dream as to the second prisoner. Now, the first prisoner's dream was that he was offered a cup of wine, and that he would be giving it to someone. The second dream was of a man carrying 3 bowls, and they were full of food, and crows came down and ate all the food, and then they also attacked this other prisoner's dream. So the first prisoner's dream actually came true, it came to fruition, and it was a beautiful dream, and so he became actually the cup hostess to Pharaoh himself. But that second prisoner with the dream of the 3 bowls of food and the crows was put to death. So Joseph interpreted those dreams, and then a time came to pass where Pharaoh was really struggling from 2 different dreams that would follow one after the other. So Potiphar said, I know a man who might be able to interpret your dream. So Joseph was brought before Pharaoh. Now, Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams that the first dream meant there would be 7 years of plenty in Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine. So with that, Pharaoh saw that Joseph had been used by God as an instrument by God. So he gave Joseph power over all of Egypt, basically making him the prime minister. So I want you to kind of think of like the vice president of the United States, but with just a little bit more influence and power, you could say. So now that Joseph was in charge of everything, he came up with a plan to store grain. So he built these big towers, and they looked just like the Pharaoh of the time, and they stored grain in there. And for the first 7 years of plenty, he was doing well. He married, he had 2 beautiful children, sons, and then the famine hits and begins. And so people are coming from all over Egypt to receive grain that was stored away. Now, with that being said, not only did the famine affect Egypt, it also affected Canaan, which is Joseph's homeland. So one day when they were doing their handouts, he saw a group of men that looked similar to him. As it turns out, they were his brothers. Now, they came up and they said, we need grain, and we'll pay for it with silver. Now, originally, when Joseph was sold into slavery, his brothers got silver for him. So Joseph kind of is taken back, he's shaken. So he kind of goes and hides behind the tent just to collect himself and gather his thoughts. Now, he doesn't tell anyone that these are his brothers, but he does go out and he refuses them grain because they say there are 13 of them. But technically, there's only 11. And Joseph's like, well, how dare you say that there's 13? But he didn't realize in that moment that his father and mother actually had another son after he was sold into slavery. So he thought they were lying, though they weren't. So they said, there are 11 of us here, but there are two back home, our father and our youngest brother. So, before they were given any grain, Joseph says to them, okay, bring me your youngest brother, Benjamin. Bring him to me, and I will take one of your other brothers as a prisoner until you bring me Benjamin. So, they did bring Benjamin. And it was interesting because Joseph was able to see all of his brothers at once. And he realized how similar this young Benjamin, his youngest brother, looked to him. And he asked Benjamin questions about, well, so are you excited to be here? He's like, well, I'm a little worried. You know, my father's worried about me. He likes me to stay close by. And Joseph's like, oh, well, why is that? He's like, well, a long time ago, he lost his youngest son. And so Joseph proceeds to ask, well, how did he lose his youngest son? He's like, he was killed. And he's like, really? He was killed by what? And he's like, wolves. And he's like, well, that must have been very hard on your father. He's like, he doesn't speak of it. And he's like, well, it must have been hard on your brothers too. And Benjamin makes the comment, he's like, none of them say anything. They can't say anything about it. And so to really test his brothers, Joseph hides a silver cup in one of the brothers' bags. And in fact, it's actually the bag that's given to Benjamin. So after that, Joseph goes and he cuts every single bag of grain. And it's interesting because once he gets to Benjamin's, he cuts it, and there comes that silver cup and falls out. And Benjamin keeps saying, no, I didn't take it, I didn't take it. And Joseph says, take him into custody and arrest him. But then Joseph sees that his other brothers are willing to give their lives for Benjamin because they know that they cannot go back home to Canaan without Benjamin. They can't do that to their father a second time. The oldest brother starts speaking to this and kneels down before Joseph and is clenching at the bottom of his garment, begging for Benjamin's life. And Joseph takes off his hat that usually pharaohs and people in authority in Egypt would wear, and says, I will not harm any of you, for I am your brother Joseph. And all the brothers are taken back. They're surprised. Joseph, how did you get here? You're alive? And they're all crying. The oldest brother asks Joseph, how can you forgive me? And Joseph said, I already have, but can you forgive me for thinking that I was some miracle from God? And his oldest brother tells Joseph himself, but you are a miracle because God sent you to save all of Egypt and to save our family, and you did. And from that moment, that family was redeemed, there was forgiveness, and there was welcomeness. Joseph actually welcomed his entire family to come and live with him in Egypt throughout the rest of the famine, and there were 5 years left. They came and they lived well, and Joseph was reunited with his father. And it was a joyous moment and memory, and Joseph's father says to Joseph, your mother always prayed that this day would come, and it had come. That was a beautiful relevance. And so kind of how this relates to us today is that just like Joseph, we might not know our path in life that God has planned for us, but he has great things planned for each and every one of us. So the activity I would like you guys to do today is a puzzle hunt, basically. And then you're going to put your puzzle together. So I'm going to give you an example of what mine looks like and kind of how you can go with that. So anyway, these are cardboard cutout pieces of puzzles. And basically, each puzzle piece has a letter and a number on it. So this actually reads out Jeremiah 29:11 because God provides us with a future of prosperity and of hope. So you can choose any Bible verse that you would like. Maybe there's one that really touches your heart or one that you're working with your youth and your children. So really let that kind of be creative for each and every one of you and unique. But I would recommend that you hide them around your house, maybe out in the yard, and then have something where your teens or young children can go and find the puzzle pieces and paste them together to really identify what Bible verse it is. And this is really great for multiple reasons, but really truly because it helps teens and youth go into the Word of God a little bit more than what they might normally do. This is an activity that I've done here with the kids numerous times, and I find that they really enjoy it, so I would really encourage you to just kind of go into this with a really open mind and really just excitement. So now I'm going to show you what pieces and materials you will need to complete this project. So the first being, and I will give you two options for this, the puzzle pieces. I would highly recommend, to spare you from a really crimping hand, just to go get the pre-cut out puzzle pieces. You can get these at Walmart, Target, really even Amazon as well. They're not too expensive, maybe about $9.99 each, and I mean you get at least 100 of them, so you can kind of redo this project or maybe do something other than this with it. Secondly, you're going to need glue. So whichever kind you would prefer, Elmer's glue, glue stick, either one will work. Then you're going to need scissors, and just some markers. And again, I used a cardboard background. You can just use the floor. It's really up to, you know, your family and what you guys are working with and what you have laying around. So anyway, to close this out, I just want to say God bless you, and know that we're praying for you guys in this hard time. Trust in God, and Jeremiah 29:11 says it all. God gives us a future of prosperity and of hope. Have a great day. Thanks so much.